let's talk. Now, maybe you need to hear this, maybe you don't, but it's something that I want to say, a message that I want to put out into the world. And I only get like a solid 5 minutes of earnestness per day, so like, chop chop. If you're aromantic or asexual, you belong at Pride. Not long ago, I mentioned that I don't want to give any more of a platform to ace exclusionists, and I don't. Instead, I want to give this message to asexuals and aromantics who might need to hear it. I want to say it to me. I figured out I was asexual when I was 21. I figured out I was aromantic when I was 25? 24? I don't really remember. I spent 21 years of my life feeling broken, alien, and isolated because I didn't have a word to describe who I was and how I felt. I felt completely alone. I couldn't understand why I was the way that I was, why I did not experience things that seemed so crucial, so inherent to the human condition. And I felt deeply compelled to force myself to endure sexual and romantic experiences that ranged from merely unpleasant to outright traumatic for me. Finding the asexual community online literally changed my life. Having my experiences, my orientation validated, brought me a mental, emotional, and spiritual peace that I had believed up until that point that I could not and would never experience. Wow, this video is really not funny. I warned you, I guess. I'm not going to sit here and argue with people who want me to justify my orientation to them. I don't think I should have to recount personal experiences and traumas in order for my oppression as a queer woman to be taken seriously. I'm not going to explain that, of course, I experience the same oppression as other women who love women, that of course, in spite of community infighting, I have and continue to be perceived by straight cis people as other. I'm also not going to explain that oppression is not the bedrock upon which the queer experience is founded, and that anybody who would argue that it is living their worst life. We are not united under the LGBT banner because we're all equally discriminated against, and anyone who would assert that we are is probably white, likely cis. No, I'm not here to talk to any of those people. I'm here to talk to you, my aromantic and asexual friends. I am here to tell you that you belong here. You are welcome here, and you're welcome at Pride. Yes, even straight aces, even cis aces. You are members of the LGBT community. The fact that you need a new word to describe your experiences proves it. Heteroromantic aces are still ace. Heterosexual aromantics are still aromantic. You are not displacing anyone with your presence. You are not stealing anyone else's resources. Your existence does not impede on anyone else's. You do not need to justify your existence to anyone. Who you are is who you are. And for those of you who, like me, found solace in those online communities and who, like me, have now begun to feel an overwhelming sense of hostility in those same communities, who are beginning to feel that same sense of alienation and fear, who look at your local Pride events and worry that because of your identity you'll be unwelcome, please believe me that you are not. 6 months ago, I left Tumblr. I didn't really explain why at the time, but it was because it seemed like no matter where I turned, I found casual hostility directed at me because of my identity. Everywhere I looked, it seemed like people, even people I trusted, people I liked, were happy to talk at length about why I should be excluded from the only community I've ever felt like I really belonged in. To this day, I feel that fear. I'm afraid to tell people my real orientation. I'm afraid to tell them that I'm an aro ace lesbian, not just a lesbian. I want to hide who I am. I'm scared to be truthful about my identity and risk exclusion from the only home I've ever known. But giving in to that fear isn't going to make me stop existing. That's the thing. I've always been who I am. I know not everybody feels that way, but I have always been asexual and aromantic. That has always defined my experience of my own sexual and romantic identity and my life. The only difference between who I am now and who I was before I had a word and a voice and a community is that I used to be a lot sadder. My silence might appease gatekeepers, but I can't stop existing. If I could stop being asexual, I almost definitely would not, because sex is at worst disgusting and at best boring. The idea of being physically intimate with another human being repulses me. Besides, there are like 10 billion things that you could do with that time that would be much more productive. Although if anybody ever makes a robot that I'd be down for that. So Google, call me. The point is, if I could stop being asexual, maybe I would, but I can't. This is who I am. This is who I've been. And I belong here. And so do you. Gatekeepers abound online, but in real life, at a real pride event, people are there to celebrate and accept you. So this is my message. Who you are does not need to be defended. You belong in the community and you belong at Pride. And anyone who tells you you don't can eat kitty litter.